What's up? Shop Talk. Shop Talk podcast. Once again, we're live from the workbench. Of course, this is for August 5th, 2018. This is episode 23, part 2. And if you missed part 1, go check it out. And also, you can look in the description. There is a PayPal Me link. I don't know the link right off the top of my head. Live from the workbench. Yeah, none of this shit is free to put together, but here you go. So, do you or someone you know want to work at a pawn shop? Let's go ahead and we'll fix that real quick. So, check out the link. There's a link to YouTube in there. Like and subscribe. Blah, blah, blah. Please subscribe on iTunes podcast app. So you probably have watched Pawn Stars and any other not real show about pawn shops, and you think it would be cool to work at a pawn shop. That's all make-believe. Remember, it's TV. And you don't see everyday pawn customers coming in with their Blu-ray player to pawn or a piece of scrap gold that's fake that they found on the ground and they're just trying to see if it's real or not. And they're trying to sell it. Let's get down to the nitty and gritty. So, say you do get a job at a pawn shop or you think it would be cool to work there because you get great deals. Remember, any deal that you get working at a pawn shop is looked at as a favor, okay? So, whether it's a successful pawn shop or not, and more than likely, you'll be placed in the ghetto or the hood, same thing. So drive a crappy car to work because you're going to have to park close and you're going to want to walk fast. It's not for the faint of heart, people. So, I remember I had a car. It was old enough to where it just had a cassette player in it. Factory. I would leave the doors unlocked. I've heard of people leaving their doors unlocked, not at pawn shops, but even other places, and their window still gets broke because people just assume that's locked. Actually, my car, I left it unlocked, and they were mad that there wasn't anything in it because that's how I left it. That was my work car. I got so mad, they punched the radio, and they broke it. So, and look forward at some point, back to that, for your car to be vandalized or broken into. Most successful shops, or should I say, 99% of shops in the U.S. are in the hood. In fact, that's where all the best stuff comes out of. Why? And I'll tell you why in a little bit later, but because the people don't know what they have. They may have inherited it. They may have stole it. It's not your job to figure that out. If you ever hear about rappers talk about gun shops, liquor stores, pawn shops, you're probably in the hood. You know, if you ever hear them songs and they talk about they're in a bad neighborhood and they have gun shops, liquor stores, and pawn shops all lined up next to each other. There you go. If you're working for a mom and pop shop, even if they have 20 stores, you will be paid and raises will be given upon how much you are liked. That's right, people. And sometimes you'll get somebody with a whole lot less experience than you getting paid to very close to what you make. That may really set you off. Especially if you work hand in hand with the owners. Single stores are more subject to this. It's a dog-eat-dog type of mentality at other... Hold on a second. Speaking of dogs, that was my dog scratching. Anyways, I'm back. Yeah, so there's definitely a us and them mentality, whether you are us or you're them. You will be them if you are working under someone. They will smile to your face and they will stab you in the back. Also, if you're a new hire or even been there for a year, there will always be regulars that are looking for their person that works there at the pawn shop, and they only want to deal with them. Which I'm the same way. I want to deal with someone that I've dealt with before. A lot of customers will lie and say whatever and do whatever to try to get whatever they want. It's also called greed, people. But a lot of these people are also just trying to pay bills, but not really. So, whether it's putting your job at risk or potential advancement or a raise, they don't care about you. If anything, they will do whatever they can to try to get you in trouble. Whether you work for a mom and pop store or a large corporate company, many customers believe that many of the workers there are family, and that is not true. And I've even heard it before. Is he family? They go, no. And they go, well, why do you keep him here? It's like they don't give a shit about you. And they were talking about a guy that had worked there for over 14 years at a pawn shop right across the street from where I worked. And since you're not related, they can treat you like a punching bag or doormat. That's how the customer thinks. I'm not saying that the owner of the store or whatever thinks that way. I'm saying the customer thinks since you're not related, they can treat you like a punching bag or a doormat. They can get away with fucking murder. Well, I've been dealing with... I remember you used to deal with these people. I've been dealing with Gary for years. Or they say, I've been dealing with Jerry for years. It's like, oh, you've been dealing with Jerry for years? His real name's Gary. Yeah, they don't give a fuck about you. So contrary to the belief of the customer is always right, that mentality, it's far from the truth, okay? And I hate to say this if you're a customer of a pawn shop, but 99% of the time, the customer is always wrong in a pawn shop. I don't give a shit if you go, oh, it's customer service. No. This is a completely different industry. Yeah, that's why I can't say it right, because I didn't write it down. So, yeah, in a pawn shop, the customer is 99% of the time wrong. That's right. Wrong. What? You know you're fucking wrong. What? So, really, they'll try to get anything over on you just to get a really good deal. Or they'll try to... You can always... If you get a job at one of these places, you can always go, you know what? I already made a deal with you, but guess what? You can renege on that deal and go back on it. You know, this is life. This is chess. This isn't checkers. You can just go, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with this deal. At the end of the day, you have to have a job. And again, these people will try to fuck you. And your job is to fuck them. And you got to remember that. But not always in the sense. You only need to fuck them sometimes. And they only need to fuck you a little bit here and there too. That's the way it works. So, yeah, the customer is always wrong. Not always wrong. Just a lot of, wrong. So, if they were right, the company would have been out of business a long, long time ago. I don't think I've ever emphasized this before in a previous podcast, but every customer wants a deal and wants to feel like they are getting a deal. Meaning, so if you're not even getting a deal, you got to make them feel like they're getting a deal. Hey, I'll let you have that out the door. And then that's another thing. You give any of these customers an inch, they'll take a mile. And you got to always remember that. I remember one woman called in and she said, how much would this be? And I told her the price. She came in and she was happy to pay that. She got up to the register and it was someone else and that's where the trickery comes in. Comes into play. And I didn't know I had to pay taxes. And that's when it's like, you know what? You take that with your local senator, because all in the state of Ohio, you have to pay taxes. Now, some other states are different. But that's why most shops, everything is marked up to marked down. That's right. So say you have it for $129 or $119. Guess what? I'll sell it to you for $99. Okay. Other times, customers just make remarks about the high prices, but have no offers on the items they are talking about. And most of the time, most customers have no clue what they are talking about. Most of the time. If you if you have a human, we'll call them that, wanting to pawn or sell something you have no interest in, and they get mad, that's their problem. You're not working there to please everybody, or you'd be out of a job, you know? You got to remember, a CYA, cover your own ass, you know? You can't just be doing favors for everybody. Every time you do a favor to somebody in the pawn shop industry, you are fucking yourself out of a job. And then on top of that, every time you're doing a favor to somebody, I swear to God, it has always came back to bite me in the ass. No favors, nobody. Strictly business. Just like EMPD. Jesus Christ. Okay. You need to do what's in the best interest of the store. The store is a business, and they are in business of making money. Your bread and butter is making your money on the storage and the interest of the pawn loans. And any pawn shop owner should know this, which they probably don't, because they fell into money. And anytime you sell something, it's just icing on the cake. But anything that comes out for sale, the store also has to pay taxes on every year. So if it sits for 5 years, the store will pay 5 years of taxes on it. You want to turn and burn. You know, you want to flip your money. You know, a lot of pawn shops, they call it keystone. You know, a keystone is think about 2 pebbles and then 1 pebble sitting on top of each other, okay? So you want to triple your money. That's what a lot of pawn shops want to do. And I don't have a problem with that. So, and after you're turning and burning, you want to reinvest your profits into new items, you know, new to you items. You also want to make a decent profit, getting as close to fair market value for the item, taking in consideration condition and availability. Even if it's a loan and they aren't selling it, you have to look at everything that comes through those doors, whether you're buying it from them or pawning it. You got to think about it like it's hitting the sales floor, and now it's your job to clean it up and price it. Yeah. When you think it's cool to work at a pawn shop, that's right. Most used items have to be cleaned up when they come out for sale. And again, they're used. It's been a necklace around someone's neck for the last year and they haven't cleaned it, or 10 years. You know, it could be a lot of different things. A guy that uses a tool every day, it hasn't been cleaned since he's bought it. So you got to think about that when it comes through the door. Am I able to sell this within a month? You know, and if it's a hot enough item, you know, can I sell this before I have to pay taxes on it again? You know, you got to think about all that kind of stuff. You got to take that all into consideration. And that's why most pawn shops, especially smaller ones with less employees, tend to be dirty. That's right. Stuff comes out for sale, doesn't get cleaned up. Guess where that dirt goes? On the sales floor. Your work clothes are your work clothes. I want to be wearing a brand new outfit or a brand new pair of $180 Nikes to work, which I have. You will get dirty at some point and probably will wash your hands in an 8-hour period at least 10 times, if not more. And again, you also got to consider, if you want to work at a pawn shop, a lot of those times, especially in Ohio, they don't have to give you a break. But a lot of time, they may buy you lunch, but they want you to stay in for lunch. So guess what? They're getting another half hour out of you, out of work. So what? They're buying you lunch. Say you make $15 an hour. Say you make $20 an hour, which you won't. Not starting out at a pawn shop. But say you make $17.50 an hour. Is the lunch that they're buying you, is it $17.50 worth of food? Is it $15 worth of food? What is it you make an hour? They want to buy you lunch? Fine, so fucking be it. They want you to stay in? That's why I always go, oh, I'll take a personal pan pizza and I'll take a sub with double the meat. And I need a soda too. Okay. So it doesn't matter if they were, oh, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Yeah. And everyone that you meet, especially if you're a guy and they're a guy, they want to shake your hand. Everybody will want to shake your hand, regardless if you make a deal with them or not. If you're just nice to them, they might want to shake your hand. If there's some geek on the street or some fucking bum, they're going to want to shake your hand. Doesn't matter if they were just fixing their broken down car out front, which I've seen many of those, or just rub their balls. They want to shake your hand. Howie Mandel it and fist bump. That's all I'm going to say. Save the germs. So, on to the cleanliness of the customers and lack thereof. For every loan that is written, they should also give out a bar of soap. Yeah, I know that fucking sounds heinous, but come on. You will never forget the smell of the customers. I can't describe it, but it's like if you're a coffee drinker and you haven't smelled coffee brewing for weeks, you know that smell. Or a dead body. I can't describe what a dead body smells like, but I know it if I walk by a room with a dead body inside of it. And I've only smelled a dead body once. You'll never forget that smell. And you'll never forget that smell of those dirty-ass customers. I worked in a shop downtown where you think just by the demographics that they would be stinky, which they were, but not all of them. But I also worked in a nice neighborhood, not the hood. And same smell, same types of customers. And if these people don't get what they want, they just keep going from shop to shop looking to get rid of their items. Mostly unwanted items. Or they want to be going from shop to shop. Family that stays together, bathes together. Okay? Maybe I didn't say that completely correct, so I'll just say it again. Family that stays together, bathes together. Okay?
Who the fuck said that?
That's right.
Who's the slimy little communist shit twinkle-toed cocksucker down here who just signed his own death warrant? Nobody, huh? The fairy fucking godmother said it.
But really, you will never fucking forget their smell. And actually, that's not a quote from me. It's a quote from someone else. He's probably dead now with diabetes. Okay. So, when you see some of these families traveling around together, some of who look like the hills have eyes, just saying, I usually stayed around the same area as most of the customers and or walked up and down the same streets. So I had to walk a fine line and definitely had to treat some of the less desirables with a different kind of respect. God says to be all things to all men. That's definitely not, that's completely fucking worded right if this was a fucking teleprompter. That definitely doesn't ring true for being a worker in a pawn shop. If you have to have a stiff upper lip. It's sometimes taking things right on the chin and roll with the punches, as they say. Don't assume anything about anybody or anyone. The guy in the nice suit, he could be your worst customer of the day week, month, year, so on and so forth. I remember. Or that homeless guy, or just down on his luck guy, which most customers are, could be your best friend or your worst nightmare. You want to pick your battles, but you don't want to take shit from anyone. Be firm. And again, no matter how well off someone is, I've seen every walk of life do anything, and I mean anything, for money. Whether it be $1, $100, $1,000, $10,000, $20,000. I've seen everybody do anything for anything. It's up to your discretion as a worker in a pawn shop to set your parameters in your workplace. That's not even right. Let me fucking say that again. It's up to your discretion as a worker in a pawn shop to set your parameters. It's not even worded right. Okay, whatever. To set your parameters at your own workplace. How about that? As long as that pace isn't lazy and slow, you're gonna have to be quick on your feet, quick-minded, with a quick wit about yourself. Work at an even keel. And just take your time. Taking your time results in fewer mistakes, and mistakes could also mean your job. The pawn shop industry is a state regulated in most states, and in many cases, the state has auditors they send out to audit the store. So, say you was in a rush one day, writing or typing serial numbers and model numbers, and they only allow for so many mistakes, and descriptions must be accurate and prepared to take many things with the... Let's see. What, Jesus, this is all over the fucking... Jesus. See, I know I had to cut this out.
It's not sudden. Preparation. As far as the actual job's concerned, it's a piece of piss. A monkey could do it. That's what I thought of you.
Yeah. A lot of places, if you work at a pawn shop for long enough, they won't hire you. And why? And I've had a boss tell me this before. Not the owner of the store. He was one of the managers. Should he have been my boss? Probably not. Did he have more experience than me? Yeah. But any other place I went, or most everybody else I ever met that worked in a pawn shop, I always had more experience than. But I'd say, well, you got to be a little jaded and to work at a pawn shop, and you know a little bit about what was the key phrase? You know a little bit about everything, but not a lot about one thing. Something to that effect. So why would they hire you? And also, prepare to take many things with a grain of salt, even dealing with owners or bosses. A lot of owners of stores will degrade some customers, which not all deserve. A lot of them tend to be very perverted with good-looking women. The list goes on and on. Just be prepared. You're going to want to have a very thick skin about yourself, and between the customers, owners, and fellow employees, there's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, and life is all about preparation.
It's not sudden. Preparation. As far as the actual job's concerned, it's a piece of piss. A monkey could do it. That's what I thought of you. It's not sudden.
So I've seen many women degraded, and a shop owner that owns 30 stores look at a couple girls and tell them in his thick accent to start kissing each other. All kinds of shit like that. This guy also said some filthy shit to me. Nothing like that. But just all kinds of other shit. So do you still want to work at a pawn shop? I mean, this is a pretty... I was going to be a little bit more heavy-handed with this, but hell, I about fell asleep already once today, and I'm trying to get this fucking podcast out. Anyways, so, I mean, this is just light compared to what you'll actually experience. Now, if you work for some big corporation where they'll hire anybody, you might not see a whole lot of anything that's that bad. But that's why you got a job there. If you get a job at a shop that's been around for a long time, cherish that job. Try to excel it. My whole thing about a job is too, you should really only do what you're passionate about. And I've said this about to other people about their jobs and stuff, and they just kind of look at me like I'm fucking crazy or laugh. Listen, okay, you might think you're going to make great money working in a pawn shop. You make okay money. You can make some decent money. Okay money. You're never going to make a ton of fucking money. Maybe if you have 4-year business degree and you're still fucking going to school and you've been working there for 20 years, you might make $25 an hour. Really, though, you could go to a decent-sized pawn shop that's not trying to sell themselves or go out of business, and you could probably make $25 an hour running a shop. That's it. It may be more, but you got to be realistic. If you're just a worker in the store, the whole thing is you can get really good deals on stuff. They know that. Okay, so if they're going to take advantage of you, you need to take advantage of them, and that goes for any job. It's we're going to scratch each other's backs here. So there's one last story, and I was going to do some Yelp reviews about some pawn shops around town, but I think it's unnecessary because the customers, they always think they're in the fucking right, and they're not. And I want any customer of any shop to burn that in your brain, because really, you're not. It really is up to the discretion of some of the people that work there. But if you go to a smaller shop and they don't have any experts working there, because this ain't fucking Pawn Stars, even if they do, you're going to encounter somebody that's a little jaded, like my old boss said. And that's just the way it goes. And they've got to make a profit on something, And everybody thinks, like, especially that hasn't been to a pawn shop to sell something, that they're getting ripped off. Well, why would they give you, $400 for a guitar they're going to sell for $400? It doesn't fucking work that way. So get that out of your head if you're a customer. And check your attitude at the door. Just trying to help out my, fellow people out there. So, here's a story. Last story is about 5 guys working in a pawn shop on the north end of town. But this could happen anywhere, considering the owner of the store owns roughly 30 pawn shops around Ohio, Indiana, and has an auto pawn place in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Lauderdale. Okay, I'm going to try to get this out before, at least for 12 a.m. for the East Coast. If not, for Central Time. So you got 5 guys working in a pawn shop, blah, blah, blah. I've already said it. So, some armed robbers come in, and I don't know how initially it played out, but eventually they wanted to take them all to the back of the store. Well, guess what? That means really bad news, because you're going to fucking die. And this goes back to anybody will do anything for money. Seen it, heard about it too, where in the middle of the night, guys they had concrete saws and they were sawing through the cinder block of the pawn shops trying to get to the safe. And in a couple instances, they have got to the safes, at least here locally. And yeah. So anyways, one guy gets shot in the neck. The other guy gets shot a couple times in the chest. Maybe 3 times. Can't remember. He's a hell of a nice guy. Luckily, he's behind bulletproof glass, where he works now, but he works by himself. Hell of a nice guy. If you listen to any other of these podcasts, You might know what I'm talking about. So, and then the other guy gets beat up in the face, pistol whipped in the face so bad they had to reconstruct his face. Okay. So, after that, he gets hired by a local pawn shop here that owns like 3 or 4 shops, and now they will no longer hire any ex-employees of this other pawn shop because the guy would fall asleep on the job and blah, blah, blah. I've seen many coworkers fall asleep on the job. Okay. I never have. In any job I've ever had, I never have. But, so, I mean, yeah, think about that. It can be a very rough environment. And most places that you work, yes, they will have guns. But what about the people that come through those doors? Are they going to have more guns than you? You always got to take everything into consideration. So, and also, be prepared to drink if you work for a Russian owner, which all the ones here in Ohio are mainly Russian, and probably on the East Coast. Get yourself familiarized with some potato vodka, and I want to suggest grain vodka, but get yourself familiarized with the two different things. Really, it's not all peaches and cream. It's not Pawn Stars. Pawn Stars isn't even Pawn Stars. It's fake, okay? It's TV. Get over it. Where I worked, we were interviewed by the History Channel for a pawn shop show. And they interviewed 2 of the wrong people. A guy that worked there for 2 months and the owner, which was kind of delusional by the time they interviewed him. And he was also, they were trying to get him on the Hoarder Show. So if it tells you anything, okay, you think it's all cool. It is a cool job. It's probably one of the best jobs you'll ever have in your life. But when it comes time to bring home the bacon, you might want to go to another job. But if you want something where you're doing something different almost every day and doing something almost different every hour, maybe a pawn shop is right for you. And if you know just a little bit about a little bit, that might be the right job for you too. But again, I hope you guys have a good weekend. Let's see if I can get this right. Nope, that's wrong.
Please like and subscribe and share so I can think my dad is cool.
Yeah. So, and then on top of that, I hope you guys have a good week coming up. Have fun in your cubicles, sitting there, and I hope this discourages you a little bit from getting a job at a pawn shop. So, take care.
Can it be that it was all so simple then? Got me thinking, I remember the time. Can it be that it was all so simple then? Ain't no changing what's left. Can it be that it was all so simple then? Because we all race against death. Can it be that it was all so simple?